Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to be continuing our overview of Final Fantasy XI's Voracious Resurgence story. We're going to be picking up in Chapter 5, so if you're unsure of what happened in Chapters 1 through 4, please check out the previous video, which will be in the playlist in the description. As a reminder, I'm not going too deep into the various characters and their backstories unless it's really important, as many of them just return from previous expansions and the videos will get too long. Just to give you an idea of the events taking place, and I'm sure 11 vets are going to recognize and know a lot of these characters anyway. Chapter 5, Oldhams Secrets. This chapter kicks off with Gatsad and his company seeking to uncover information about Phallic and the Oldham civilization. Since goblins are rumored to be the most knowledgeable about legends, you seek out the moblin Megamac in Mount Zaolm. He explains that he sent the Destiny Destroyers on a mission to obtain a pure white ampule from a research facility in the Hazalm testing grounds to help him create a chimera. Upon arriving there, you find Urin Mafrin seeking a way inside to learn of the testing ground's secret experiments, only for the Destiny Destroyers to casually run out, consoling Mogbihu, who has discovered he is nothing more than a science experiment. Najing, one of Nashmira's trusted automatons, appears in an effort to arrest Urin Mafrin and the Destiny Destroyers both. After all parties escape, you return to Megamac to confirm the details of Phallic's initial split and the Chimera's Saramea, Tinin, and Tiger, details you had only speculated on with Raoban and Nashmira earlier. Gloom Phantom appears and confirms that the three Chimeras being combined would cause Phallic to be reborn. He also explains that it was his own ancestor that was the great hero who slayed Phallic in ages past. He spoke to the ancient Ramul and sealed away Phallic using the stone tablets and the seals on them. Ramul, whose name in history is identical to the Avatar Ramu, accomplished this by using the Oldham staff to create the tablets and lock the creatures on 3 separate islands across the land. The staff is currently held by the Mammal Jaw to protect it from anyone seeking to steal it away and break the stone tablets. Gatsad seeks more information about Oldham and the staff, so you join him and his assistants in a trek through the Idea subterrane, where tons of Oldham ruins are located. After wandering around and saving some Kikern from a Merilith abomination, you learn from them that the staff was gifted to the Mammal Jaw when one went looking for Ramul to enact revenge for the murder of many of their people. Instead, Ramul entrusted the staff to the young warrior and demanded that no human ever touch it. Should a human touch it, the staff will lose all of its magic immediately. Upon returning to Gatsad's workshop, you learn Urin Mafrin sought out the crew to help steal the Oldham staff, in exchange for using the orb on Rishvi. Knowing a human can't touch it, Gatsad comes up with the plan to have one of his automatons wield it instead. With that in mind, everyone heads off to the Mammal Jaw's seat of council in the Jade Sepulchre to see the deal through. Urin Mafrin attempts to slay the defenses of the Mammal Jaw, but Sequel Jaw appears wielding the Oldham staff. Despite the immense power he wields, you manage to disarm him and defeat him and the other Mammal Jaw in the area, while Urin Mafrin uses the prison orb to free Rishvi. Before the automaton can grab the staff, however, a vampire covered in the eye markings that were present on the soul flayers from earlier kidnaps one of Gatsad's associates and threatens to kill them if the staff isn't handed over. In response to this, Gatsad grabs the staff himself, triggering the curse and reducing it to a useless stick. This distracts the vampire long enough for Rishvi to slay him, before finally returning to the world of the dead to be with Amnaf. Urin Mafrin rages at the sacrifice of such a powerful relic before fleeing from the incoming immortals. Everyone at the palace celebrates the averted threat, while Gatsad and his company agree to continue analyzing the Oldham civilization for more information. Before leaving Ottergon, you visit the Arapago Reef and discover a Corsair band, the Seagull Fratry, discussing an important task. Their flagship, the Black Cradle, was badly damaged in a recent skirmish. To help fund the repairs, the subordinate Mutib won a ship in a pirate game of chance. However, he then crashed that ship into a Terracatos, a large whale-like creature of the sea. They task you with investigating the site of the crash to see if you can slay the Terracatos or at least salvage some of the ship. Heading deeper into the reef, you discover the Mammal Jaw's Sahuagin allies and the Lamie convening with the Epkalu, with them discussing the lost Terracatos and something called an Arrow Pearl. Since the shipwreck killed the Terracatos and shattered the Pearl, the Epkalu Elder tasks you and the Destiny Destroyers with finding a new one. It is an ancient device made by Ramul with the purpose of helping a chosen Terracatos reach the deepest depths of the ocean. Find a new one, and the Seagull Fratry will be forgiven for the shipwreck. Upon returning to the Epkalu to get more information, you find the Destiny Destroyers arguing with the Epkalu, demanding they be allowed to shatter their World Eater egg. It turns out the Terracatos with the Arrow Pearl is tasked with swallowing the egg whole and plunging into the deepest depths of the ocean, where time stands still. This prevents the egg from aging and eventually hatching. We also learn the World Eater eggs were laid by an ancient creature who hated all things new to the world, including any living beings that were born into it. To preserve its own life, it consumed crystals that granted it the power to lay the World Eater eggs. To learn more of the Arrow Pearl, the Epkalu bids you seek out the Kikern again. The Kikern provide riddles to you in the Seagull Fratry until an old Merilith is found. It has an Arrow Pearl, but its energies have been completely drained. To restore it, you approach Gatsad, who determines that a man-made chemical solution from the Alzadal ruins might do the trick. Apparently, it stores magic from the air and transmutes it to a liquid coating that completely protects the user from water. You retrieve more from the Alzadal ruins, and Gatsad uses this to restore the Arrow Pearl to working order. You return it to the Epkalu Elder, freeing the Seagull Fratry from their wrath and saving the Terracatos Ascension ritual, eliminating the threat of this World Eater egg, at least for now. Chapter 6: The Truth of Chaos. While adventuring through the lands of the Far East Resurgency, you come into contact with the Yagado tribes that live there. Among them is Gesho, an old ally who helped avert a second Ragnarok in Ot Urgan. He is working with his friend Reiku to establish a treaty between the Yagados of the Far East and the Middle Lands. This is to combat the coming threat from the World Eater eggs, something the Yagado are intimately familiar with. Several hundred years prior, a deadly beast known as Nesnas wiped out all but a dozen Yagado in the Saramug Champaign. This creature was born of a World Eater egg, and this event is what led to the divisions in the Yagado tribes. Rihabalo rewrote history to make himself a deity amongst the Yagado of the Middle Lands, while Ciclaro fled to the Far East to form the Tengu sect, preserving their history. Despite this divide, the times are calling for an alliance between the two tribes to ensure military might capable of dealing with a potential resurrection of Nesnas. Ziziku the Manifest claims a goblin wielding a black sword has been reported to be able to break open the eggs. With this in mind, Gesho suggests that he simply steal the blade, though Reiku admits that the goblin and the sword have mysteriously vanished after being spotted in Ot Urgan. Instead, he asks Gesho to speak to the goblins of the Far East and ask what they know about forging a new blade altogether. Upon speaking to Encantrix elsewhere in Resurgency, he reveals that Yagado only remember bits and pieces of the true story that occurred 5,000 years ago, and that a goblin must be the hero to wield the Black Blade. Before continuing his explanation, though, he brings your attention to a Middlelands Yagado lost in the forest. With Gesho's help, you heal the Yagado, whose name is Nyaku. He came to the Far East after being sentenced to death by the Middlelands Yagado after being fooled by Urin Mafrin, and he hopes to join the Tengu sect. For his cowardice and the potential threat to the alliance with the Middlelands Yagado, Reiku denies Nyaku the chance to become a member. With the matter resolved for the time being, Reiku bids you approach Encantrix again and learn more about the true history the Yagados have forgotten. Upon returning to Encantrix, Zhubuxu the Silent from the Middlelands appears in search of Nyaku to bring him before the Manifest for his crimes. This worries Encantrix for some reason, so you set out to find Gesho so that he might help. Gesho explains that when he went to the Middlelands a while ago to ask the Yagado for their assistance on behalf of his tribe, he was denied and expected to be executed. However, Zhubuxu convinced Ziziku to let Gesho train their deadweight soldiers in exchange for being allowed to live, a debt Gesho has yet to repay. Despite this, Gesho wishes to help Nyaku in some way, by turning him to a path that allows him to regain his own honor. In exchange, he wants to learn the secret Encantrix is keeping about the events of 5,000 years ago. Before learning anything new, however, Encantrix reveals that his younger brother was actually killed by the Middlelands Yagados when he sought peace between everyone. Nyaku reminds him of his younger brother and that he wishes to help him for this reason. However, in a discussion they had while Zhubuxu was searching for him, Nyaku called Encantrix's brother weak, so he angrily recommended that Nyaku go try his luck in Omen to strengthen himself. It's a deadly training ground that could definitely kill him, so Encantrix asks you to track him down before he'll reveal the ancient story. You find Nyaku just outside of a portal to Omen, determined to become strong enough for Reiku to see him as a valuable asset against the potential resurrection of Nesnas. Before continuing, Enchantrix appears to tell Nyaku the true history of their ancestors. 5,000 years ago, Chaos appeared and attempted to destroy anything new in the world, wanting to preserve the world as it was at the time. It eliminated many species from existence before the beastmen races of the world banded together to face it in battle. In the southwestern Middlelands, the beastmen battled for days before Chaos was slain by a goblin wielding a black sword. The eggs Chaos left behind upon its defeat hatched creatures with the same goal, making every one of them a danger to the entire world. It has been the mission of the goblin race for the past 5,000 years to find every World Eater egg and destroy them using the black sword. They failed to destroy the egg in Saramug, leading to the Yagudo story we mentioned earlier. This story further empowers Nyaku's resolve, leading to a training session with you and him in Omen. After he passes the challenge, Nyaku and Gesho resolve to tell the true history to Reiku, while Enchantrix ponders on the sheer volume of World Eater eggs popping up in recent history. Gesho and Nyaku beat you to Reiku and have an entire conversation without you present, but Reiku gets you caught up. Despite Nyaku's enhanced fighting prowess, Reiku is more concerned with his status as an outlaw with the Middlelands Yagudo, and denied him from the sect. Zhubukshu appears and states that Nyaku is reported to be near a waterfall out in the jungle. Nyaku, however, stands up to challenge Zhubukshu alongside you when he is confronted. After defeating him, Reiku appears, surprised at Zhubukshu's defeat and willingness to return without the traitor. Reiku attacks Nyaku, blinded by his desire to ensure the alliance between the Yagudo tribes is successful. Gesho and you defend Nyaku against Reiku's assault. After the battle, Reiku sees reason and Enchantrix takes in Nyaku as his new brother, granting him citizenship to Risenjima, even if not part of the Tengu sect. Enchantrix also remembers to report that he attempted to contact the Gloom Phantom to no avail, thus he and the sword to slay the World Eater eggs are now missing. When the Yagudo ask about forging a new weapon, it's revealed that only weapons containing a strong soul can shatter them, of which they originally obtained from a Diverger demon weaponsmith. They had a whole slew of weapons made, named Prime Weapons, and many races and beings came to wield them. Unfortunately, only the Goblin was able to survive the battle with Chaos with the sword intact. The Yagudo plot to potentially have ZZ-Ku arrange a deal with the demons of the Northlands after fighting alongside them and the Shadow Lord several years prior. While they work out the details, Reiku thanks you for your efforts and calls upon your help again when the inevitable battle ensues. And that's going to be where we stop our Part 2 overview of the Voracious Resurgence. You got a pretty good idea of where the story is headed at this point, but I can tell you Chapters 7 and 8 definitely open up a few more things for us to consider. Please look out for those, as those are the 2 remaining chapters that are currently available in the game. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.